Hey everyone, Scott here, and today I've got another Fusion World replay video for you. I picked this game up because I thought it was a pretty good example of how ridiculous some of the green versus green matchups can go. Today we're playing as the Gohan leader again, and we're against this Broly here. In terms of this opening hand, what I found against when you're playing in the green versus green matchup is you just kind of want to get as greedy as you can, and you definitely want to see as many of your 8-drop Brolys as you can as well. The Android 1718 here, I like this against all the other colors other than green, but in the green mirror match I don't find myself using this as much. I do tend to rely more on the Broly from the starter deck. And also in this opening hand there's not really any obvious ramp. I mean, there's the 4-cost Vegeta here, but we don't really have anything 3 or more that we necessarily want to get into the drop area early on for this to guarantee us a ramp on turn 4. So we go ahead and we ship this hand back, and in the end we do end up seeing 2 of the Brolys here as well as a destructive strength, so we have that guaranteed ramp on turn 3. Go ahead and charge 17 and 18 because, like I say, I've not found it to be too useful in these matchups. You can see here our opponent has one and they've decided to hold on to it. We didn't have much choice in terms of what we wanted to charge. I mean, had a lot of 0 combo power cards, and these Brolys are really important to hold on to, so yeah, we weren't able to get anything down turn 1 either because we just didn't get lucky and see the 1-drop. Here, our opponent comboing out of this attack. I think this is going to come back to haunt him, just with the way this game goes. We're able to kind of keep him on 5 life for a lot longer than he probably would have liked to have been on 5 life. And maybe if he'd taken the hit here, we wouldn't have been able to do that later on in the game. Go ahead, we play one of these Paraguses. I'm only running 2 copies of this just for that extra bit of self-awakening. I don't find it that important to play in every game. Most of the time it does end up getting charged, like I just did with that copy there. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in a position where we gotta leave 1 energy up as well off the destructive strength. Haven't seen any of our 1-drops still. Our opponent getting the 8-cost Broly there, but they go ahead and they charge it immediately, which I think is probably a mistake given the matchup. The 8-cost Broly really is one of the cards that is vital to beating another green deck, in terms of it's the only thing that can guarantee to remove your opponent's threat off the board. So say our opponent plays the 17 and 18, and we can respond on our next turn with the Broly. We can KO it, or if they play their own Broly, we can obviously KO it with our Broly. And then just that 45k body in 2 attacks is just really difficult, even for a leader like the Broly leader that is on 25k base. Basically they need a super combo and something else to get out of it, or 1 copy of Gigantic Meteor is usually enough. But yeah, so I think him charging the Broly here is maybe not the best choice. Just based on the way the game played out, he probably would have liked to have had that in the later turns. Go ahead and we charge one of the 2-cost Trunks. Again, in the green matchup, I haven't found this to be too useful. And we get pretty lucky in that we grab our first super combo here. And we get the Goku down on turn 5 as well. So as soon as we can awaken, we're going to have our leader's skill online on the backside. And our opponent basically doing the same thing again with the Goku playing it down. This is maybe the situation, because my opponent didn't attack me on their turn with their leader, means they've left me on 5 life. So if I hadn't have charged that Paragus earlier, or even if I'd just held this one that I'd played early on, that would have been something I could have got down this turn to guarantee the awakening for myself on this turn here. As it stands, we're most likely going to have to wait for our opponent to attack into us next turn, which puts us in kind of a weird position in the sense of we don't really want to commit any attacking threats to the board. I mean, in terms of the cards we have in our hand, we don't have any great attacking threats. We're 1 energy short of the 2 Brolys we have. Getting another Goku down, you never want to really attack with the Goku. Could try and go in on the secret rare, but to use our whole turn on that when our opponent's still kind of on 6 life, we could potentially get some more use out of this later. And then again, we don't want to play this Gohan childhood, because that's going to put us even further away from our awakening. So ends up leaving us in kind of an awkward situation here. In the end, we kind of did the same thing back to them in terms of delaying their awakening. Go ahead here, obviously we do get the attack to put them down to 5 so that we can draw off our leader. May as well play the 1 cost, see if we can grab anything. And this ends up being one of the few games I've had where I've played 2 copies of Destructive Strength. Usually as soon as I get the 2nd copy, I just kind of charge it as soon as I can, or discard it for the 2 cost Android 18, where when you play it you draw a card, discard a card. Just because we had really nothing to do this turn, go ahead and use another copy just to get a bit more ramp. Also using it here to ramp up a bit means later on in the game we can just kind of skip our charged for a turn. Basically in that sense we're kind of going +1 in our hand size if we're not charging a card at the start of our turn, because we've ramped on previous turns, which is something to consider in the green matchup as well. There does kind of become a point where it's almost diminishing returns in terms of how much energy you have. It's very rare that you get to something where you can drop like 2 Brolys in a turn. Although we see our opponent did get kind of quite close to that by the end of this game. But yeah, we unfortunately need to pass to him kind of with 4 energy up there. Not really anything for us to do. Our opponent grabs the Big Bang attack off their 1-drop Gohan and is able to get rid of our Goku, which is a bit of a setback, but the reason I didn't commit the other Goku to the board last turn, so I can see our opponent has the SR 17 and 18. Sometimes this early on kind of in the game, it's only been out for a few weeks now, if you can get a sense of if your opponent's kind of got some of the higher rarity cards or not, that can actually serve you quite well. So we see here that they did end up charging one of the SRs that you get from a pack. You know, the Brolys, they've charged 2 of the Broly, or 2 Brolys have been charged this game. And the Vegeta as well is another SR that they have. So it's pretty clear our opponent has maybe spent some money or maybe opened some packs. So it's not out of the question that they would have their own secret rare Gohan. And since the 5-cost Goku is kind of one of the main things that you want to KO in the green mirror match with the secret rare Gohan, just having 2 on board where they could have used the secret rare to kind of get rid of both of them is something I wanted to avoid in this game, and so just kind of hold back the 2nd copy in our hand just to see if they get rid of the 1st copy, which they ended up doing now. And then they've gone ahead and they've just dropped the big double striker here, get rid of both of our guys from board, get rid of some combo power. This was a mistake here, I think, a pretty clear one, because they're hitting me with a 15k attack, and now when they go in with 17 and 18, I can awaken, and I can kind of start off at 20k into the 40k attack, whereas if they attacked with this first, obviously I'm only down on 15, so if I want to defend against this, I need to use probably a super combo and another card from my hand, or maybe even just both of our super combos, or I would have been incentivized to kind of take the double strike hit off of the 17 and 18 and gone down to 3 life. So yeah, them attacking here with their lead first, I think it is a pretty clear mistake here. So, especially with them showing me that they had the 17 and 18, it might have been different if they'd held the 17 and 18 in hand until after attacking with their leader. Although maybe they were really worried about me comboing off the 2 cards I had on board. Although, being on 20k now and having enough energy means I can just use this single copy of Gigantic Meteor to get out of the attack. If I was still on 15k because they had attacked with this first, I would need to Gigantic Meteor and use a card from my hand. Probably would have ended up being the Gohan here, since I don't believe I had the Tills. I think that's what we got off the hit off our opponent's leader, if I remember correctly. And yeah, we go ahead, we drop our 8 cost Broly, the first copy of this card that we have. Go ahead and get rid of their 5 cost Goku first. There is something to be said of just getting the attacking threat off the board, the 17 and 18. But then we can obviously try and do that by attacking into it with the Broly. It's obviously one of the 2 main cards in our deck that we can actually kind of clear their 17 and 18 by just attacking into it. So that ends up being what I decide to do this turn. Them attacking with the 17 and 18 last turn also is what allows us to not attack into their leader with ours. So we get to draw a card by attacking into this and deny them the awakening this turn. So we go ahead, we attack, literally just get the draw. I was not going to use the leader skill there, because it would have been leader skill and some more cards from my hand to try and get rid of the 17 and 18. Now, by going into the 17 and 18, obviously I'm expecting them to save this turn, but I'm just getting cards out of their hand, and it's, you know, not giving them the ability to awaken by going in here. I'm pretty sure I can defend myself against this 17 and 18 for at least one more turn. And I've got the other Broly in my hand, just in case I need to get rid of their 17-18 next turn. As I was playing this game, I was obviously aware there's 2 Brolys in their energy. 2 of the 8 cost Brolys in their energy, so I knew that there was less of a chance of them having one, but I was still, before they played the Android 17 here, I was expecting to see their 8 cost Broly come down, kill my Broly. So that was a pretty clear read to me that they don't have it in their hand. So my kind of thought process going forward is, let me get this second Broly down if I can next turn, and maybe between the leader with my leader skill and these 2 Brolys, I can get them from 5 all the way down to basically winning the game in a single turn. But again, with them playing a battle card onto the board and attacking me with it, means it's another turn that I can kind of hold back and not let them awaken, especially with the way they are so far behind in this game, in terms of, like, they have way less cards in hand. I mean, they've got a slightly better board, I suppose you could argue, but yeah, they're just, now obviously we can see they got 3 super combos, so they got a lot of defense, but now they have this big bang attack, which isn't super useful to them. They have the Vegeta, which I believe is going to come down next. Yep. So it just lets them ramp up a bit more, but it's not anything I'm kind of too worried about. That said, I do go ahead and kind of take the hit, just to get a bit more combo power in my hand. With the Gohan childhood here, the 6 cost, I know I can get that energy back pretty easily next turn if I need to. Depending on kind of what I was going to draw up turn or draw off leader swing. Go ahead and attack into the Vegeta, and they don't go ahead and save it despite all the super combos in their hand. So again, go in and try and clear the 17 and 18. At this point they don't save it despite having, again, all these super combos. Clearly they were thinking that not defending their battle cards. Eventually I'm going to have to kind of go for lethal this turn, or try and at least attack into their leader to whittle them down a bit. But I'm quite happy here with kind of how much of an advantage I have. I've got the clear read that they don't have their own 8 cost Broly. I mean, they could top deck it next turn, but I'm pretty sure they don't have one, otherwise it would have been a pretty good play last turn. So this is a situation, just looking at the board here, there's no point me really going and putting pressure on my opponent's life total. I'm not going to be able to do 5 to them this turn. Maybe I could have if I had played the other Broly first and not attacked in on their Vegeta. Maybe if I'd gone for their leader with this attack, that would have been 5 attacks. Maybe I could have put them down to 0, but the fact that they still had a few cards in hand and we haven't seen any super combos now, I had a bit of a slight read that maybe they had some super combos, and obviously once we awaken them, not only are they defending on 25k, but then they have a 25k attacker as well each turn, potentially a 30k if they use the leader skill before they attack, which is not something to be ignored with the Broly deck. You know, obviously the thing that stands out first of all is that they're 25k defensively, but them being 25k on the attack as well really can kind of whittle your hand down if you're comboing to save your cards or save your life against their leader each turn. So yeah, once I kind of went into their Vegeta with my leader, I was pretty much committing to I'm not going to hit them this turn, try and delay their awakening for one more turn if possible. And we go ahead here, attack into their 17, and they don't go ahead and save it. And playing the Broly here would have been a bit of a waste, since there's not a good target for me to KO. Especially if they do go ahead and top deck their own one next turn and KO this Broly. I want to have this Broly to KO their Broly. So just go ahead, get the 6 drop down and play the 18 as well, just to filter to the deck, and then next turn if this lives I can actually get an extra card in my hand by attacking with this. I'm kind of foregoing it on this turn by passing to them, but I think leaving them unawakened is probably better than just getting this one extra card in my hand this turn. They don't get too lucky in terms of seeing any more of their Brolys, and they're going to go ahead here and drop the tills. Try and go in on us with some crit. It also gives them a little bit of ramp as well. Not that there's too much they can use it for, looking at what they have in hand. So we go ahead, and there's no point us taking this crit when we have super combos in our hand. And our opponent ramps again, goes all the way up to 13 and passes a turn to us. That's what I was saying before about once you ramp to a certain point, you can just skip your charge phase. Like, there's no real benefit to me being on 11 energy rather than 10 this turn, especially considering what I have in my hand. I don't have any 3 costs that I could play along with the 8 cost Broly. But yeah, this is what I was saying before about if I can get my opponent down from 5 life to 0 in a single turn, with having the leader swing, the 35k here, the 20k that draws me a card here, and both the Broly attacks, I'm pretty confident, even if they do have a few super combos in hand, that I can force them down to 0 this turn. In fact, once we swing in with the 18, our opponent sees that they get the gigantic meteor, and we use our leader skill. They go ahead, they charge all the way up to 14 and go up to 25k base, and then they just concede. I was thinking it happened a bit earlier in the turn. I don't know why you would kind of wait that long to awaken, or why you would take that long to concede rather, unless he's just going for the... There is an achievement in the game for awakening, like in a certain number of games, so maybe that's what he was going for by not conceding that earlier in the turn. But yeah, I think just based on the number of cards they had in hand, the number of attacks we had on board, they were pretty much guaranteed to be dead there that turn. So yeah, that's it for this gameplay replay video. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Both of those really help me out as well. And be sure to check back for more of these replay videos.